Hi, this is Lynn Schmidt with the MFCA, Miniature Football Coaches Association. We try to help you guys out every chance we can so that you can hopefully build electric football fields that work well for you. I've had some really good success with my pan fields. They're 2x4 fields, essentially a 2x4 sheet of metal that's panned 1 inch on each edge. So you have a playing surface of about 22 by 46. I had to develop a motor that would work on them, and I got to give props first to Shabby J. James Partapilo from California. He came up with a design that inspired me to work on one, and I took his design, made a few little changes to it, basically in the way it's mounted onto the field. But if you see his thread online, it's an awesome way to do it too. He used wood for his brackets. I went ahead and found some pipe clamps that I liked and tried to make a motor that was very quiet and that would run your field with good ease, good smoothness. Over here, we have our equipment list, the things you're going to need to pick up. The whole thing, once you get done with it, will cost you approximately $20 or so or less to build the motor. You'll need a model railroad speed controller and a switch that is an extension switch. And I'll show those at the end here to get the whole thing going. But you can see the motor assembly right up here. It's mounted just off the corner of the field. Found out that setting it at a 45-degree angle rather than straight this way or straight that way gave a better vibration. This works really well on my 2x4 22-gauge steel fields, but for you it could be other locations. You just kind of have to experiment with it a little bit. So we're going to go learn how to build this field right now. So make a note of the equipment list. The first thing you're going to need is your Radio Shack motor. It's a 9x18 VDC motor. Costs about $5 to $6 at the Radio Shack. You are going to need these Odie pipe clamps. They are 1-inch pipe clamps. I find them on Amazon for about, I don't know, $5 or $6 a bag. There's 6 of them in there. You can use other pipe clamps. They look like this. This is a pipe clamp there. You can use other types of pipe clamps. I've had some others. These are just the ones that I found that really work well for me and I like. You're going to need some 3M foam tape, your standard foam tape that you can pick up at any Hobby Lobby, whatever. Some lead tape. This is what they use for golf clubs and those kind of things to add weight to them. This is a quarter. Well, this is the other thing we'll need is the ruler. This is actually a 1/2 inch wide, so my sheet is wrong. That should be a 1/2 inch over here. And you're going to need 2.5 inches of that. I've got a piece measured out here, cut 2.5 inches long by 1/2 inch. You're going to need some wire. This comes from Radio Shack. It's 18 gauge wire. So you can see that right there. We're going to use a minimum of 18 inches, but 24 inches is what I've cut today for this piece. You're also going to need foam core board. This, or foam sheets, is what this is. It comes with a sticky back on it like that. And yeah, the foam sheet. You can get these at any Hobby Lobby also. For your project, you're going to use about 8 cents worth of this. You're going to use one piece of that, which I've measured out and have cut here. You're also going to need some of these terminal spade clips. Look something like this. Alright, and they're for putting our wire on. And you also need these quick disconnects. They look like this. Or you can actually get by without using those things. You can actually wire the wire directly to the motor and to your model railroad controller. But those are the basic parts that you're going to need. Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. The 3M 20-pound double stick tape. This is a 3M double stick tape. Keep a look on the product list there and you'll see all the things you need. And you may potentially need a little strapping tape too. Believe it or not, strapping tape works really, really well on the metal as opposed to anything like even duct tape or stuff like that. Strapping tape's the deal. So let's go ahead and start building the motor. And I've already unpackaged one of the motors here. We'll get rid of our sheet for the moment. But you can see I've taken it out of the package, and what I've done is I've taken my foam tape and essentially cut 3 little over an inch pieces and have stuck them onto the motor. And the one thing you want to be careful about is not to cover these openings. You need that openings for the circulation and so forth. So there's actually a couple openings. You'll see underneath this one there's an opening under there, and you want to not cover those openings. So what we do on this last one is we're just going to take our scissors and we're going to cut out. Nice how that worked. It flew right away. And we're going to stick that piece back on there so we leave that opening in there. We want to have that opening for air circulation. Then the tricky part, at least for me, is getting the paper off of these. So we're going to peel that little paper off like so. Sorry, I've got to get it in camera view here. We're going to take our 2 pipe clamps and we're going to stick, and we're just going to widen that out, and we're going to stick that pipe clamp on there just like so. We're going to get our other one, and again we're going to just take that, open it up a little bit, shove that on there, get everything nice and even, press that all in tight, and press it on there really good. And all of this again is just to keep our motor from banging up against anything, because plastic and metal, anytime it vibrates together and bangs together, you've got noise, and you want to avoid that noise. So there we've got the basic assembly like you can see up here with our motor in it, foam tape in between to insulate the motor, little gaps, make sure you don't cover any of the openings on the motor. Alright, now that we've done that, we're going to take our 3M 20-pound double stick tape, and basically we're going to cut 3 pieces, and I just stick it directly on there and snip that off like so. We're going to do another piece right along there. Again, we're just going to cut that off. This is some sticky stuff like that, and we're going to take our 3rd piece, put that on there, just trim it off like that. So now we've got some sticky 20-pound tape on there, double stick, and again the hard part's getting this backing off, at least for me, so I keep my tweak pliers handy or anything that'll work to get that off of there. And this one especially is hard to do, but we want to show you in real time what it takes to do this motor so you can see how fast it can be constructed. And we're just going to keep working here to get that backing off, which can be a bit of a challenge. It'll probably take the biggest part of this video to get that off. If I was a good food show like you see on TV, they'd already have it stirred up, mixed up, peeled back. This is why biting your nails is a bad thing. We'll get that off of there eventually. We're getting there now. So actually the hardest part of building the whole thing is getting this backing off. One more to go. Hang in there with me. If you're bored, you can fast forward to the next scene. There we go. Got them all off. All right, that's our first layer. We're actually going to use another layer of this, but that's the first layer. Now we're going to take our foam foam sheet material that we got from Hobby Lobby, which we've already cut to size. And it doesn't matter if you stick it this way or that way at this point. It doesn't matter. You can go either direction. We're going to stick that on top of there. Make sure everything's good and tight. Okay. And this is for insulation. It helps to insulate for sound insulation. It helps insulate the motor from making noise against the metal of the field. Now we're going back to our 3M double stick tape. I'm going to do this one. This is a little bit different. We're just going to do 2 pieces across here, like so. There's one. And if you're really conservative, you'll want to cut that next piece in half, but for time we're just going to go ahead and stick that piece on, even though it's sticking off the sides a little bit. And we're going to cut that off. And again, I'm just going to press everything down, make sure that it's all nice and tight on there. And then all I'm going to do is take my scissors, go around the pipe clamps. You can see here. And trim off my excess material. So you're not going to need any of that. Just like so. Alright. There, we pretty much are getting close to getting what we need. We're getting close to what we want to get done with this. Now, the thing that makes this whole thing work is our counterweight. So we got to put a counterweight on there. There's numerous ways to do that. You can find, there's all kinds of different counterweight systems out there, and just about anything will work, but you got to make sure it stays on secure. Lead tape. We have lead handy for our hobby. We all use it for different things that we do. I find it works out really well as a counterweight. This is the sticky back version. It's got a little paper backing on it that we'll again have to peel off of there. But to get this to work, all we're going to do is we're going to fold that in half, directly in half. And again, this is a 2.5 inch piece, which will weigh to approximately 1.3 grams. If you've got a scale and want to weigh it, you can weigh it out to 1.3 grams. Now we've cut that in half. Now what we're going to do is we're going to peel the backing off of one side. You can see I did that here. Hopefully you can see all this. We're going to take those 2 pieces, stick them directly together so they're nice and even, like that. Alright, stick them together. Now we're just going to go and cut straight across the length of it, right down the middle. We're going to take one of our pieces, pull the backing off of it. So we're essentially making it a thickness of four pieces stuck together. Again, get that paper backing off of there. Alright. Now we're going to take that and we're going to stick that to the back of the other one. So we have 4 thicknesses. Try to keep everything nice and even and as can be. Now you've got 4 pieces all stuck together, just like that. And once again, we're going to, this time, before we peel that backing, we're going to fold that in half. Hopefully you can see all this on the screen there. I've basically taken the 4 pieces, folded them in half. And all we're going to do is we're going to trim, I'll try to show you, a rounded edge onto this. And the reason we do that is for sound. If you don't get rid, if you try to keep that thing square, and hopefully you can see it here, it's got a curved edge on it. If you try to keep that thing square, it's going to make a lot of noise. So by curving it like that, by cutting that little round in there, it works kind of like a propeller and makes the sound a lot less. It keeps the sound down. Alright, now we're going to peel our paper backing off. And this is going to give us our counterweight for our motor. And we're going to get that paper off of there. Alright. Right at the crease of that fold that we made on there, we're going to put that right on the shaft of our motor. And just fold that over and stick the two edges together, just like that. Now you can see we have a little counterbalance on the motor. Now, just like that, it's kind of loose. So we got to take our tweaking pliers and just crimp it down a little bit. Now you don't want to do it too much because you can actually make that lead tape break. So you want to just lightly crimp that on. Make sure it's good and tight, like that. And so it's stuck nicely onto our shaft. And I've never had one come off yet that way. So far it's worked out fairly well. If you have issues with it, you can always add a little piece of tape around it, or you can just redo it. That's been the easiest. If I've had any issues, I've just gone ahead and taken that off, redone it. And then I like to give that propeller, I call it, just a little twist with my thumb and finger. Kind of gives it that propeller shape. You can see, and that's all just to keep the sound down. If you leave it a square edge, it's going to make a lot of noise. Alright, so that's our motor. That's all there is to building your motor. That's the biggest part of it right there. As you can see, it looks just like this arrangement here. When we want to put it on the field, we're just going to pull this red tape off and stick it right up on the field at the best possible location. Now, you're also going to need to hook on the wire. I've got a 24-inch piece of the wire that I explained earlier, the 18 gauge. You can do it, you can actually solder it directly on if you would like, but I like to use the female and the male ends of my thing, so I have quick disconnects for the motor. So we're just going to go ahead and peel back the wire a little bit with our wire pliers here. You can see that. Alright, and then we're just going to slip on. This is our quick disconnect end. Now if you have a crimping pliers like I do, you can, once you've put that on there, you just line that up in there, press down. Hopefully you're seeing the screen here, and you can see that that's on there nice and tight. We're going to do that to the other side as well. Over here. Let's press that on. I have had these come off before, but they're very easy to put back on. And that's your one end of your wire. You're going to do the same thing to the other end, except you're going to put on your spade tongues. So we're just going to put those on the other end. For time right now, we won't get into that because it's just the same exact process. This then connects onto your motor, and these just snap right on there, like so. There we go. Those are snapped on. This end will go. Then this end will go to your railroad model controller, and that's really all there is to it. I'm going to show you the assembly. We're going to go over here. I'm going to move the camera just a second. Hello. Here is one of our model railroad controllers. It's hooked up to one of these switches, and basically you can hear how it purrs. This is your speed adjustment here, and that's pretty much all you got to do. Notice too that we've hooked up to the DC connection of our controller here. I'm trying to get my camera right. There you go. You can see this is hooked up to the DC connection over here and not to the accessories AC. If you hook it to the AC, you're going to burn it up. So you want to hook it to the DC version. So there you go. That's how you build a motor. Hope it helped.